The conservative majority on the Supreme Court deciding on several important issues, some that favor President Donald Trump, from allowing the president to fire members of the independent agencies to siding with the president on several immigration orders.
And it is all outlined in Chief Justice John Roberts' year-end report for 2025. Our legal expert, of course. We need to hear from Whitney Traylor to break it all down, because there's a lot to break down here.
Yeah.
So they do this every year, and what's the point of it?
Yeah, this is a year-end report that they've been doing for decades, and John Roberts, certainly since he's been as Chief Justice since 2005, he has done a year-end report. And I think the point is to really highlight certain things to the public. So I think it's giving the public an idea of what the judiciary did. They get into statistics about some of the cases, but really it's also sort of his message to the public about the judiciary. And this year he wanted to remind the public why an independent judiciary matters, which a lot of people are scoffing at this point. And he really reflected on a theme about the importance of courts in our American democracy. And so he went through really this historical narrative as he made those points.
Powerful words considering the climate right now. What else stood out to you in this report? Because I know you read through it.
Yeah, I think honestly the first, it was only about 15 pages, but I think the first 7 pages were really this history, and he highlighted the importance, actually talked about Common Sense by Thomas Paine, talked a lot about the Declaration of Independence as they were the precursors for the Constitution, and saying that the Constitution is of utmost importance. And it was interesting, though, because he quoted what he said was maybe the most important sentence in American history, which is in the preamble of the Declaration, and we've all heard it, but it's, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." But he highlighted that this was more of an ideal than a reality, because the vast majority of the 56 signers were slaveholders. And so I think his point there was that, look, our American jurisprudence, our American democracy, our republic is an ideal, that we're working towards that reality. And so I think he was subtly making that point by highlighting some of that historical.
Interesting
narrative.
he would do that right now. I mean, history is, accept it, good, bad, and ugly.
Yes.
It's all of those things, but they have a PR problem right now, the Supreme Court, let's be honest. They're not viewed as, and the idea of them being non-political is just not, everyone knows that. And it's never really been that, but right now they especially are kind of struggling with their image.
It really does seem like it's quite partisan, and it's unfortunate. And he highlighted that the impartiality of the judiciary comes from the Constitution, in the notion of federal judges have these lifetime appointments and there's a guaranteed salary. And the notion behind that is that they will remain impartial. And some people would argue that, hey, the Supreme Court is now very partisan. And there's arguments for that. And I think part of that is really from the confirmation process, because if you look at the confirmation, and I just crunched some numbers before I came on, and for decades,
it was every president,
right? But in terms of the Supreme Court justices being nominated and confirmed by the Senate, for years and years, it was almost unanimous. I mean, you look at Scalia, who was very partisan, was very conservative, and he was unanimous. Then you look at Ginsburg. She was also on the left, very far on the left, and it was, I think, 96-3. And so it wasn't until these last couple decades that you now started having the confirmation hearings becoming highly partisan, and really, 50-40, where people are making their votes based on their political views.
And before we let you go, where can our viewers check out this report?
Yeah, so they can just Google, the actual website is at the supremecourt.gov, and there you can find the year-end report. But if you punch in 2025 year-end Supreme Court year-end report, it'll definitely pop up. And you can see year after year, they've done it every year for a couple decades.
That's super interesting.
It is.
Didn't know that.
Right.
I'm embarrassed to say. Okay, thank you, Whitney.
Sure.
You taught us a lot.
Yes, all right.